Welcome to another show of the Ramen Stand. It is me, Kai, your lovely host, joined with Cole and DJ.
Hello.
There you go, Cole. I like that. Very enthusiastic.
Very enthusiastic, yes, indeed.
So, for today's episode, we are going to be doing a general review of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and I believe we're going to be discussing the first 9 or 8 episodes.
Yes. Yes, thank you very much, Kai. So, welcome everybody to the Ramen Stand. Yes, we'll be talking about the very first part of JoJo Part 1, Phantom Blood. So, this entire discussion we'll try to keep it just within JoJo Part 1. We'll try to not talk about anything within the other parts, especially since Kai hasn't seen the other ones. So we'll try to keep it just of JoJo Part 1. And something that I should have done before all the other podcast episodes is, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen JoJo Part 1, we're going to spoil the shit out of it and just talk all about it. So if you haven't seen it, go watch it. Actually, go watch it as you're listening to this podcast. You know what? Watch it live.
You might want to skip it, actually, because I don't think they'll be able to watch the whole thing in just like the 30-ish minutes that we're talking.
Just put it on,
like
just put it on 10 times speed. 10 times speed, you know. Every episode.
It sounds like chipmunks.
Yeah. All right. So actually, before we even talk about JoJo Part 1, we got some anime news because there's been a couple of things. So first thing is, actually speaking of JoJo, so it's been announced that JoJolion, which is JoJo Part 8, the manga, is ending soon with 110 chapters. It's been going on for 10 years. It's going to end next month, as of this recording, on August 19th of 2021. That's a fucking long time. It's been going on for 10 years. And like this actually makes it the longest part in of JoJo because like starting from part 7, because parts 1 through 6 were weekly Shonen Jump, so each chapter would come out once a week. But then sometime within part 7, it moved to Ultra Jump, which is once a month. So chapters would come out once a month. So that's why this is so fucking long with only 110 chapters. That means like, it's been going on for 110 months, which is insane.
That is indeed a long time.
Yes, indeed.
That's a lot of years.
Yeah, that's a lot of years, yeah. 2011 to 2021. And other thing is that as of July 19th, earlier this month, One Piece, the manga, is now 24 years old. That is...
Woo!
That's not that old, actually. It's like not too long.
It's older than all of us.
That's older than all of us,
by like a year.
Yeah, all of
Just by like a year. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not that old, Because JoJo came out in 1987. That's old.
Okay, that's old.
Yeah. But that's crazy. It's One Piece only 1 year older than me. And also, speaking of One Piece 2, is now not too long during its birthday, actually. It is now currently the second best-selling comic in the entire world, beating Superman. I mean, not Superman, sorry. Superman's number 1, beating Batman. That is ridiculous.
Ah, that is super ridiculous, yeah.
Yeah. It used to be number 3 beating Spider-Man, but how y'all feel about that? A manga being second place in the entire world, beating like something that has so much broad appeal like Batman and Superman. That's crazy.
We're taking over.
Yeah, weebs are taking over.
Honestly,
Really.
not surprised. Everyone's turning towards anime now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like, especially with like the nerd culture boom that we've seen in the past couple of years, everyone's been these are things that we would have been bullied for.
Oh yes.
Back in the day, But now like it's the cool shit.
Right.
And every day, like I'm still very shocked to see people walk in with like My Hero shirts or other anime shirts and stuff.
Yeah.
But
that honestly is crazy to think about. Just like when we were younger, elementary, middle school, I would never, ever bring up the fact that I watched anime.
Oh yeah,
Same.
absolutely not. I mean, I guess it was normal for me because for me and Colas because we're Asian, but
Right.
at the same time, still
They
it's
expected it.
still fucking like weaves,
Right. Yeah. But now it's starting to be a little bit more accepted. It's still kind of like, because I know a lot of people that just like aren't interested in anime, which is fine. It's not everybody's cup of tea. But
Yeah.
It definitely has become a little bit more mainstream and accepted, which is great, which is good. And so, other thing that I want to say, something that I totally forgot about to mention in the previous episode is, have you guys ever heard of a series called Chainsaw Man?
Yeah.
I've heard of it.
Yes. So
You seen that trailer?
Yes, I did. Yes, it's very fucking good. Way better than I thought. So yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful.
This one anime, it's going to be animated by the same studio that animated Jujutsu Kaisen. I think Studio Mappa. They're coming out with Chainsaw Man. It's a very popular, brand new shonen anime or manga that recently is going to get adapted. And yeah, the trailer looks fucking insane. Cole, when you get a chance, you gotta check out this trailer.
Okay.
But yeah, that's coming out.
I'll do it after recording.
And then the last thing that I want to mention is apparently there was an anime scam site going around on Kickstarter called AnimeTube. Have you guys ever heard of that one? Ever heard of this?
I have not, no.
Yeah, I found this.
I didn't.
I found this out from Charlie Penguin Z's channel. He was talking about this shitty Kickstarter for this website called AnimeTube, where pretty much is like them talking about, they're claiming that they're going to be some free site that's better than Crunchyroll. Literally in their website or like their promotional video, they're just like, this website will crunch your roll, just like kind of making a shitty pun, making fun of Crunchyroll. And like they promised, like, we're gonna have live chat, we're gonna have a virtual waifu AI assistant that you can talk to and be friends with. It's like, all right, whatever. I guess. Yeah, it's very
stupid. Oh no.
And like, it's what's funny is like they say they're gonna be free. It's gonna be a free site, but they have a subscription service, or they're going to have a subscription service. It's like, okay, it's kind of bullshit, I guess. And like even worse is that they even got a 100,000K backing, like 100,000 people, or not 100,000 people, like $100,000 from people, like being like, yeah, let's do this. It's fucking stupid. It's so fucking stupid.
Jesus.
And like obviously it's totally fake, because like they're on their Twitter, they were just like, oh yeah, we got all this permission from all these different anime companies, like saying that we can use their different animes, put on our website, and then like all these different companies were calling them out, be like, we didn't say anything, go fuck yourself.
Who are you guys?
Yeah, pretty much.
They got suspended. Oh no.
Yeah, I got suspended. Yeah. So AnimeTube.
They're based in Austin?
Yeah, based in Austin. Yeah. So AnimeTube ain't coming out anytime soon.
Based.
Not based at all. Not even a little bit. So yeah, that's pretty much it for anime news. Did you guys have anything that you recently heard about in between episodes?
I have not really, just been waiting on Chainsaw Man.
What about you, Cole? Heard anything?
Yeah, not much here. I mean, other than me watching like the newest season of like Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid.
You know, I did see like, you know how sometimes Crunchyroll will just have clips from an anime and stuff like that? There was one for that show, and it was just like a fight scene. I'm just like, isn't this a slice of life? It was like so beautifully animated. I'm just like, what the fuck? This is better than most anime out nowadays in terms of animation. Jesus Christ.
Now you see the appeal.
Yes.
There's a bit of something for everyone.
Yeah, but they fucking have way too huge tits. Anyway. All right, and so
There's
now
nothing wrong with huge yonkers.
They can be too big. There's too big.
That's fair.
Yeah, especially with the new character. Not spoil it, but.
All right, and with that, let's talk about JoJo Part 1 Phantom Blood. So before we start, let's do a little history on JoJo as a whole. So it came out, this part, JoJo in general, came out in 1987 till 1988 for Part 1 in Shonen Jump, Weekly Shonen Jump. Was created by Hirohiko Araki. And what's interesting, actually, is that Hirohiko Araki came up with the name Jonathan Joestar, the main character, because he'd constantly visit this one restaurant called Jonathan's often. So he decided, I'm just going to call this guy off after this restaurant that I visited a lot. And so that's something Araki does a lot, is he puts a lot of references in his manga, especially like musical references. There's not a whole lot in Part 1, but definitely in later parts we'll see a lot of familiar, well-known musical references to different bands or artists or stuff like that. There's a couple in here, but not too many well-known ones. And so Part 1, one thing that I really like about JoJo is how each part sort of takes place in different timelines and different settings, which I really love about it. So Part 1 takes place in England of 1880 through 1889 and stuff like that. And actually this part, even though it's not seen as like the most popular one, which I can agree, I still enjoy it, but it's definitely not the best. It definitely did get some popularity because in 2006 it got its own PS2 game in Japan, and then 1 year later it was supposed to have a movie in 2007, but it got canceled because apparently it was utter garbage, so they just decided they're not even gonna bother with it. And then it's kind of crazy to think about that. Like when you think of anime, manga getting anime adaptation, usually it doesn't take too long for popular anime to get an anime adaptation, but fucking JoJo, like it's, despite how popular it was, it didn't get an anime, a proper anime, till 2012, which is insane to think about. Because like One Piece, for example, like it came out in 97, but then it got an anime in 99. Like it only took 2 years, where this fucking took more than a decade to get an anime, despite how popular it is, which I've always wondered why that is, but I have no clue. But yeah. And so one thing that's kind of funny is that like this is probably my 5th time rewatching JoJo Part 1. I have seen this motherfucker so many times. And like when we were starting to watch these, before I even started, I was just like, fuck, I'm gonna watch this again. Jesus Christ. But that's fine. I love JoJo. And even so, with that, I actually have the different manga books for JoJo Part 1. Which I really love. I love these. I'll show pictures on screen. Sorry, audio only listeners. But yeah, I have these different manga books for JoJo, and I fucking love the covers, and I love the art style of JoJo. What do you guys think of the art style of JoJo?
I like it a lot.
Hell yeah, very manly.
Yeah,
yes.
very manly. Kind of. It looks kind of rugged in a way, like the characters.
Yes.
But I think it's cool.
Yes. Yeah, a lot of people actually don't like the art style of JoJo, surprisingly. That's one of their main criticisms for why they don't want to check it out, which is, it's fair, but I kind of like it. I mean, granted, for the first 3 parts, actually, they're super buff because a lot of manga that came out then, like a lot of shonen manga, was all about super big, tough guys and like being super jacked for no reason, like Fist of the North Star and a lot of other popular shows that came out around that time. Like, typically your main characters were going to be super jacked back then, so Araki was just sort of following the same trend and stuff like that. Let's see what else. And then like how I got introduced to JoJo was because a while ago we actually did in the West get like an anime adaptation of JoJo, but it wasn't for Part 1. It was for Part 3 actually. Like it was a couple OVAs that came out in 93, and for many years that was like our only exposure to JoJo in the West for many years. And then again, yeah, like it didn't take it, and then later we got an anime of Part 1 in 2012, which is fucking insane. One question that I want to ask, like, Kai, how did you what sort of like, how much do you know about JoJo before we even started watching Part 1? Because I kind of want to get an idea of like how much we can say without spoiling
okay,
anything.
so, well, I knew like its basic premise and the art style, and that it was generally like the title. It is very, very bizarre. Because I remember in high school watching over your guys' shoulder during class while you were watching JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. So, I mean, I know a decent amount, but definitely like if you guys were to mention something about the next parts after Part 1, it might be like, oh shit, well.
Well, here's one thing that I want to ask. Do you sort of know like why there's different parts?
Yes, it's because I think you explained this to me before. It's somewhat like Baccano, where it takes place, like it's through different generations of the family line. Is that correct? Okay,
yes.
Cool.
Yeah, so each part sort of has its own main protagonist, as we'll talk about when we get to talking about JoJo, the very last episode, RIP. But yeah, each part has its own sort of main protagonist and cast, which I really like that about JoJo. And actually just like a lot of different series too, is like I like the idea of each part sort of has its own sort of premise and cast and different things like that. It's one of the reasons why I love Final Fantasy so much, because each Final Fantasy has its own storyline, cast of characters, and different things like that, but it still does enough to make it familiar to like, oh yeah, this is Final Fantasy, or oh yeah, this is JoJo, and different things like that. So I really love shows that do this, where each season had its own cast of characters, plot, main protagonists, antagonists, different things like that. Because I feel like if Jonathan was the main protagonist throughout the entire show, it'd probably get kind of boring after a while, you know? But yeah. But Cole, how did you hear about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure?
Don't act like you're not responsible. So yeah. I'm sorry.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah. No, obviously it was through you, because I remember you like kept pushing for it. I'm like, you know what? I'll give it a try. Why not? And so we watched like the first 2 episodes, and I remember you sitting there just watching my reactions to each one, because I was like, what the fuck?
Yes, sir.
What the fuck?
Yes, sir.
And then finally, what the fuck, when like another death happened, and I'm like, why? Why?
Yeah. Yeah, do be.
And then immediately afterwards, I started reading like the manga.
Tight.
Yeah.
All right, and with that, let's talk about JoJo. So, first episode, we starts off with a flashback of Dario finding George Joestar, whose wife had died, but the baby survived. And Dario tries to steal George Joestar's jewelry, but George wakes up thinking he's trying to save him and offers to repay his debt. Which, this one little act is the sole reason why all the crazy shit happened in JoJo, is because of a fucking misunderstanding. George Joestar thought Dario was trying to be a good person, but no, he was trying to fucking steal his shit, and he didn't care that his wife died.
What a jackass.
I know. God.
He got played.
Yeah, Dario's a jackass, but fucking George, he's too nice. That's the problem.
Too wholesome.
He's too wholesome.
Yes, very too nice.
That's the main problem here, but that's okay. Nothing wrong with being a good person, but a little too nice. And then 12 years later, in 1881, we meet our main protagonist, 12-year-old Jonathan Joestar, playing with his dog, Danny. And then meanwhile, as that's going on, Dario Brando is slowly dying, thank God, and wants his son, Dio Brando, to take the Joestar fortune for himself. Dio hates his father and plans to get the life he feels he deserves by any means necessary. And then we see a couple of bullies are messing with a girl named Ernina, and JoJo goes to stop them in the name of gentlemanly justice, but he gets his ass kicked. So how do you guys feel?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. How you guys feel about Erina? There's not really a whole lot to say about her for me.
She's cute.
Yeah.
She is cute.
And also
yeah.
very important.
Yeah,
she's very quiet.
Yeah.
I realize she doesn't really say as much throughout, or at least anything that would be substantial to the plot in a sense.
Yeah, she's pretty much just like the romance girl, like, you know, what do you call it?
Typical damsel.
Yeah, typical damsel.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, this came out like
distress.
87, and like stereotypically a lot of girls, and especially in shonen, were damsels in distresses. So kind of not hard to see, which is fine. And then actually, how do you guys feel about Jonathan at this point before we do the time skip when they're super jacked?
I was a little annoyed.
How so?
It's just because, like in the first part, you know how he gets the doll back for her and stuff, and then in the end, he's like, "I don't want to be thanked by you. I'm just doing this because I have to." And I'm like, "Oh man, that's Jesus." But I mean, he makes up for it. He makes up for it past episode 3 or at the beginning of. But.
Yes. What about you, Cole? How do you feel about Jonathan at this point?
I thought he was a bit admirable because of like him being like a gentleman and all stuff like that. But at the same time, in the back of my head, I was like, man, if he were like in like the modern version right now, he'd be like probably one of those fedora tipping bastards.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Like my lady.
Based Reddit.
Don't wear
Protect your
fedoras,
honor.
guys. No fedoras.
No
We're past this.
We're past this, yes. And
No
then,
more.
and then Dio and JoJo meet each other for the first time, and then we get our first taste of the kind of shit you see in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, where Danny just starts going after Dio, and then he just kicks the shit out of Danny. And then
That made me so upset.
Yeah.
That made me so mad.
Yeah, no. But I mean, that's actually kind of the point, because I remember I said this before, like, one of the reasons why dogs get so fucked up in JoJo is not because Araki hates dogs. He actually loves dogs, just because he wants to portray how evil the villains are by attacking something that's so universally loved, like dogs. But, I mean...
That makes sense.
Fair.
But Araki kind of goes a little too far, I feel, with how dogs are killed. little too much.
Absolutely,
that's fine.
murks them.
Yeah, he
murks them hard.
On sight.
On sight, for real. Bloodlust is real. But then after that, Dio just continues to just be a complete piece of shit and tries his best to ruin JoJo's life. And I feel like it's so funny how, like, Jonathan has done absolutely nothing to Dio, and Dio's just like, I'm gonna fucking ruin this guy's life for no reason, just for the fuck of it. Like, he acts
Dio is indeed a shitter.
Yeah, he's a shitter. He shits in this guy's soup every day, and it's ridiculous.
Born to shit, forced away.
Like, he tries to act more well-mannered than JoJo to look better in front of his father. He kicks his ass in boxing and tells all of his friends not to talk to him. And then fucking later, when JoJo and Erina start hanging out and start dating, Dio's just like, I'm gonna steal your girl, and kisses her. I'm like, oh, fucking bitch move. That's a bitch move.
Yeah.
But she pulled like a really boss move, like just wiping it away with dirt water. I was like, dang!
I thought that was pretty. That was admirable.
Yeah, that's honestly
I'm
probably
gonna do
her
that
best
next
move.
time.
Yeah, there you go, Kai. Hopefully you don't get to that point though.
Fair. But yeah, Dio's a big shitter, and it gets even worse in the next episode.
Oh yes, it does. But it's okay, because during this moment, fucking Jonathan goes to Dio and just starts kicking his ass. But unfortunately, George Joestar stops them. Yeah, as one should, definitely. And then after that, we sort of notice like some of the blood that Dio spilled falls on the mask, and fucking spikes come out of the mask. It's like, oh shit, what's going on with that mask? Something interesting's going on with that. But then after that, not too long, Dio decides to get payback, and unfortunately, he kills Danny by putting him in their wooden stove. That is fucked.
That hurt.
That
hurt.
I was just thinking, like, could the butler not do anything? Because he was just like, oh no, something is in there. Oh, but like he didn't do anything about it.
I think he just opened it too late.
Yeah, I was assuming that was the reason. Like, he just couldn't have done anything by the time he found them.
Right. Makes sense. Okay. And then the episode ends with our first English ending, Roundabout by Yes. Kai, what did you think of the song? Did you listen to it?
I listened to it the first time. I liked it.
Yeah.
I was actually, I was a little surprised because I don't usually hear, at least like with older animes, I don't hear a lot of like English songs that are used for the ending outros, but this one was good. I liked it a lot.
Well, get ready for more, because that's what JoJo does a lot. Because like there's a lot of musical references. One thing they do is that the ending of every JoJo is like some popular artist. Usually they try to do something that's either relevant to the part or is sort of like relevant to the time period that part takes place in. So that's what they try to do. So Roundabout by Yes. Not really sure if that's like, obviously that didn't take place in fucking 1880, so it probably has to do something with like related to the part, but I have no idea what. But yeah, good song. Anyway, episode 2 takes place 7 years later in 1888. Starts with fucking Jack the Ripper killing someone, because of course he does.
Yeah.
Because why not?
Yeah, because why not? And then we get the first opening of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 1. How'd you guys feel about this opening?
I like this opening.
Yeah.
Let me refresh my memory. I thought the animation was actually really, really nice. Because it reminded me a lot of the Cowboy Bebop intro.
Really?
The way they animate it. A little bit, yeah. And just like the way like it was, the graphics were like kind of moving and stuff. I thought it was really cool.
Definitely. What about you, Cole? What do you think about the opening for JoJo Part 1? Sono Chi no Sadame.
I think it's just legendary.
It is.
Honestly,
it is very legendary. It's
anyone
manly as
who's
fuck.
heard of JoJo's, yeah, they've probably have seen that. They most likely know the song.
This is like the JoJo national anthem. Actually, that's not true. One of the songs to Part 5 is pretty much now the JoJo national anthem. Cole, you know what I'm talking about. But anyway,
but it was for a long time.
For a long time, yes. And then moving on to the episode, we cut to Jonathan and Dio at the age of 19 playing rugby, and they are super fucking jacked. Kai, how'd you feel when you saw that?
Steroids up the ass.
Oh, how jacked these fucking dudes were?
Yeah, just all of a sudden they're super jacked out of nowhere.
Yeah, it was weird.
You cut out.
Cause like I was used to seeing them as like small boys.
Yeah,
but now they're big boys.
They're big.
But I thought it was a welcome change because it made Jonathan. They seem to be much more.
No, if it's just me.
Much more, I guess, mature.
Yes.
But then we realize soon enough that like they're both still kind of the same as far as like Dio goes.
Oh, especially
like
Dio,
JoJo's less of a pussy, but
Oh, definitely. Yeah, like
Yeah,
in that
Dio's still a
rugby
shitter.
match. Yeah, Dio's still a shitter. In that rugby match, like they're acting all super friendly, like, yeah, we did it. Let's go tell
Yeah,
father.
yeah.
And then Dio's just like,
Exactly.
I fucking hate this guy. I swear to God, I'm gonna kill you and everyone you love. Piece of shit.
like, can't you just be nice?
I know, right? Like, oh my God.
God.
And then later in the episode, we actually see that unfortunately George Joestar has become sick. Surprisingly, like Dio's dad. Huh, that's weird. I wonder what happened.
Sketch.
We apparently
Sketch.
learned that Dio has been poisoning him and his father with a medicine that he got from a Chinese merchant, Wang Chung. And so JoJo finds the note that Dario left for Dio that sort of like tells all that information that says like, oh yeah, he had the same symptoms as George Joestar currently has. And so JoJo goes to Ogre Street in London for a few days to find the antidote and doing things like that. And then meanwhile, Dio steals the stone mask. So then JoJo fights a bunch of thugs, and then we meet the best character in the entire part, Robert Speedwagon. How do y'all feel about Speedwagon?
Speedwagon.
My boy.
First of all, live name.
Yes.
What a fucking name.
Hell yeah.
That's like being like having your last name be like Lamborghini or something in the modern days. But no, yeah, I and of course this will come up later in as we discuss the later episodes, but I like how his character started out and then how his character developed throughout the part one.
Definitely. And actually,
cool dude.
speaking of Speedwagon, he's actually, his name is in reference to an artist called Robert E.O. Speedwagon. Like, that's an actual artist that does music and stuff.
Yeah.
And actually, too, with Dio, same thing. Like, Dio's name is in reference to a band called Dio. And if y'all didn't know, Dio in Italy actually means God, which is perfect for Dio's God complex.
Oh yeah.
Yes. So yeah, Speedwagon, fucking great character. Love him. Anyway, JoJo and Speedwagon immediately become friends after JoJo kicks his ass, because that's usually how shonen always works. And then he helps him find the poison. And then Dio's depressed that maybe Jonathan found a cure and starts to drink like his father. And then he comes across a few drunk guys and tests the stone masks on one of them. Then the guy becomes a fucking vampire. Like, holy shit. How'd you feel when that happened?
I really hoped it was the end for Dio.
Yeah.
Because then he starts getting fucked up, and it's like, oh, finally, you're gonna get exactly what you've been waiting for.
Yeah.
And then, dude
Sunlight.
burns in the sun.
Yeah.
Yeah, sunlight.
Unfortunately. But then, yeah, after
But yeah,
that,
it was pretty intense.
it was very intense, yes. Too bad Dio didn't die right then and there. Could have just ended the part.
Yeah, just that would have been
It's just
so
the
bad.
God.
And then
Credits
the
roll,
rest of JoJo's just a
everything's
slice
over.
of life. Yeah, and then Dio goes home and finds Jonathan saying he came back with proof that he's a piece of shit. Because he is. And then episode 3, Dio tries to pretend like he's given up, but Speedwagon calls out his bullshit. George learns the truth about Dio, and Jonathan tries to handcuff Dio to be taken to jail, but Dio tries to kill JoJo and use his blood on the stone mask so he can be a vampire. But fortunately, but also unfortunately, George Joestar blocks the attack and gets stabbed in his place and dies. Meanwhile, Dio uses the mask to become a sexy vampire. R.I.P. to George Joestar. Didn't live
Rip the
long,
boy.
but yeah, the most innocent boy in all of JoJo. The fucking reason why this entire part started, just because he couldn't tell Dario to fuck off.
Yeah. There you go.
Which actually later in the episode too, like one of the cops is like telling a flashback how George Joestar actually knew that Dario was a no good piece of shit, but he still forgave him anyway. What the fuck?
At that point, I was like, you kind of, you got what you got.
Yeah, you got what you got.
You know?
Yeah. But that's okay. So Dio kills all the cops, and then JoJo, and then they fight in a burning mansion. All the people Dio killed turn into fucking zombies. So not only is he a vampire, but he can also turn people into zombies. That's kind of OP. And then as we'll see later in the video, or in the series, Dio just keeps getting more OP as we go on, which is ridiculous. And then luckily Luckily JoJo's able to subdue Dio and he escapes, but then unfortunately Dio lives and he's found by Wang Chung. God damn it. So then in episode 4, Speedwagon goes to see him, but Erina is taking care of JoJo and they reunite, which is actually kind of crazy. Like, we see Erina in episode 1, but then we don't see her for just a long time out of nowhere for no reason.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, like she just pops up just like, oh, hey, apparently I was gone for a while. Remember me? It's like, oh, shit, hey.
I still exist.
Yeah.
I'm here to be a part of the plot.
Oh,
For once.
Barely.
And then after that, she's like barely there until the end.
Yeah. But actually, funny enough, in the manga, because I have the manga, and there actually is like a lot of differences with the manga. Like, they expand on a lot more things. Like, they expand a little bit more on Jonathan's relationship with Danny, and then like in this scene, actually, when Speedwagon's gonna go see JoJo, like Erina actually stops him, being like, "Hey, I'm taking care of JoJo. Fuck off." But in the anime, they don't show any of that, which is pretty interesting. I always kind of like seeing the differences between like the manga and the anime, because usually in the anime, like they'll have most of the stuff, but they'll like usually get rid of some of the fluff that's kind of unnecessary, but still is able to, I guess, what is the word? Like carry on the message, I guess, of the scene. But they don't need to like add all that extra fluff. It's actually the same thing with One Piece, because I'm reading the manga of that and watching the anime, and it does that a lot, where like the manga will add a bunch of different shit, but then the anime will sort of like condense it a little bit to make it more fast-paced, which is pretty neat to see. So then later in the episode, Dio meets up with Jack the Ripper and makes him his subordinate. God damn it. And then later, Erina and JoJo meet William Zeppeli, the Italian man. What do you guys think of Zeppeli?
Me.
He's cool. He's cool as fuck.
Yeah, he's totally cool. And also, the most striking memory I have of him was just him punching the fuck out of a frog.
Yeah, which happens
and
in this episode.
I think my first striking moment was like when he met JoJo, he just socked him in the fucking gut.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, well, what are you doing?
Could you imagine just meeting someone for the first time, the first thing they do is just punch you in the gut? Like, oh, hey. Mm-hmm. Yikes. But yeah, fucking Zeppeli meets JoJo and teaches him about the Hamon/Ripple by punching a fucking frog. But the frog's okay, though. But yeah, it's definitely probably the most bizarre moment in this entire part is when Zeppeli punches a fucking frog. It's so just bizarre and crazy. I love it. So yeah, Zeppeli teaches JoJo the Hamon so they can fight Dio. And then we get a flashback of Zeppeli where like learning about the stone mask, where he joined his father's research team to explore an Aztec ruin where they found the stone mask, and then his father put on this mask and out of curiosity and turned into a vampire, killing everyone. But before he could kill his own son, the fucking big ball of fire in the sky managed to show up just in time. And then later, Speedwagon tells them that Dio is probably at a place called Wind Knight's Lot, so they go over there. And then fucking one of the other crazy parts in JoJo is fucking Jack the Ripper explodes out of a horse.
Yes.
How'd you feel about that, Kai?
That was also very unsettling.
Yeah, no.
But, yeah. I mean, very true to his character, both in real life and fiction.
Oh, yeah, Jack the Ripper just fucking exploding out of horses. Silly guy.
Yeah.
So quirky.
Sounds about right.
But yeah, honestly, I feel like, Cole, would you agree that, like, part 1 is probably the most gory part, do you think?
I mean, after seeing, like, part 5, and maybe part 4, I think, was also kind of gory. Just a bit. But part 5, I think you know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Pretty gory.
Yeah, part 5 was pretty gory, but I feel like part 1 has the like most consistent gore. Like every episode, there's always just like so many people dying and all that shit. Which is like, okay, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'd agree then, because I just remembered like literal like fingers getting like cut and stuff like that. I'm just like, ugh.
Yeah. But then later, Zeppeli and JoJo beat Jack the Ripper without spilling their wine, because they gotta be fancy, gotta be gentlemanly. Can't spill that wine. And then
I thought that was impressive.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, try to kick somebody's ass without spilling wine, guys. There's your challenge for this episode. Let us know if you do it or not. So then Team JoJo are in One Night's lot, and they meet a boy named Poco who steals their luggage. But then they're fucking ambushed by Dio and his zombie army. And then Zeppeli fights Dio, but he's beaten by his ice powers. Yep, now Dio has ice powers. If you thought he was broken, he's more broken now. And I just...
Fuck.
And I loved Zeppeli's line where he's just like, how many people have you killed? Do you even remember? And then Dio immediately follows up with like, do you even remember how many pieces of bread you've eaten? I was like, oh, damn. What a fucking...
Yeah, I thought that was kind of cool. That was,
start counting.
like, damn.
Yeah, we'll give that one to Dio. He roasted the fuck out of Zeppeli with that one.
Yes. He fucking put him over the pit and everything.
Yeah. And then Dio summons the legendary knights Tarkus and Bruford to fight Team Phantom Blood. And then fucking Bruford is voiced by one of my favorite Japanese voice actors, Kenjiro Suda. Oh god, I love his voice so much. It's so good. I love his voice actor so much. Anyway, Tarkus and Bruford. We learned that Tarkus and Bruford were Queen Mary Stuart's loyal servants who died at the hands of Queen Elizabeth I. And then fucking... I love this part. When Speedwagon's arm is frozen in ice, Speedwagon uses his fucking abs to warm up. Oh, I put Speedwagon twice in my notes. Jesus. Speedwagon uses fuck. Oh my god, words. Speedwagon uses his abs to warm up Zeppeli's arm. How did y'all feel about that?
God.
Yeah, and then JoJo fights Bruford. So then in episode 6, JoJo fights Bruford. That keeps going. Bruford uses his fucking hair to suck JoJo's blood because, of course, that's how hair works. But then JoJo breaks free and beats Bruford. Then Bruford thanks JoJo for reminding him what it means to be human and gives him his sword, Luck and Pluck. Which at first, I honestly thought Pluck was just a made-up fucking word, but apparently it does actually mean courage. It is a real word. So that's good.
Interesting.
I thought Bruford was just fucking around, yeah.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, Pluck? What the fuck?
Yeah.
What is he? Is that it? What?
Yeah, just imagine Jonathan being like, Pluck, what the fuck?
No, I fucked with the lake scene where they're at the bottom, and he was like, I either go up and breathe or I go down and like hope I can find air.
Right.
Or drown.
Right. Cole, what do you think about Bruford and Tarkus, these guys?
It always like surprises me in anime whenever like a character is like, you know what, I'll be good. So like having it happen a second time in part 1 was like surprising to me. I was like, what? Yeah. He did it again?
He did it again.
I think it was a very noble reasoning though. I think because like the flashbacks and stuff, which was also very sad with how they lost their queen and everything.
Oh yeah.
I thought it was like, I feel like this one made a little more sense to me compared to Speedwagon.
Oh, 100%.
Just because like Speedwagon is like a normal everyday thug, but this guy was actually a loyal knight. So I thought this was a little more fitting. Not to say that with Speedwagon it wasn't, but this one definitely felt more natural.
Oh,
there's
100%.
a lot of like themes of like gentlemanness and
yeah,
stuff like
yeah,
that, chivalry
exactly.
in there.
Yeah. So then, Tarkus talks shit on Bruford, and then he tries to attack Team JoJo. They fly away on a fucking giant leaf. And then Zeppeli explains how he learned Haman. He met a man in India who used Haman to heal people, going all Jesus on people, and tells him where he can go to learn the power. Zeppeli meets Tom Petty, who teaches him Haman. And then Tarkus catches up with them, and they land in a knight's training ground. And Tarkus forces JoJo to participate in this long-ass name called the Chamber of the Two-Headed Dragon's Chain Death Match. They need to shorten that. It's a little too long. And then Poco goes to help JoJo by opening the door, and then the episode ends by Zeppeli realizing, oh shit, I'm literally about to die.
Yep.
Which, that is crazy. How would y'all feel if you were in that moment? Like, you knew how you were gonna die, and then bam, right there, you're just like, oh shit, this is it. And then we get I feel like this moment right here is probably my favorite use of Roundabout, just because I really like how, the episode ends with like them slowly playing the melody leading up to the actual ending song. I really like that a lot, that they do that. I kind of wish more anime would do something like that, because usually the episode ends and then it immediately cuts to the preview for the next episode, or to the ending. But like with this, it sort of like leads up to it, which I really like. And I kind of wish more anime would do that, because I think it's really cool. But yeah,
it definitely helped build the suspense.
Definitely. Yeah, that's why now there's so many fucking memes with Roundabout. I don't know if you ever seen these memes.
I've seen a couple.
Okay, yeah. Fucking anytime someone's about to get their shit kicked in, you gotta play a Roundabout. And then episode 7, we get a flashback in 1863 of Tibet following the end of Zeppeli's training. Tom Petty tells Zeppeli how he's gonna die, and then this is what he says. In an ancient chamber hidden from view and heavy with the stench of death, a child will reveal the way. In order to set a young lion free, you incur a mortal injury, and then you'll be clenched in the cruel grip of death. And then we go back to present day. Zeppeli goes to help JoJo, the lion, but Targus immediately cuts him in half. Like, he really didn't do a whole lot.
He lived quite a long time post the fact that he got fucking cut in half.
Oh, yes, he did, yeah. That's the power of Haman, baby. Even if I'm cut in half, I can still live for like a good 5 minutes.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
And then Zeppeli gives JoJo the rest of his Haman, giving JoJo power up and beating Targus. How do you guys feel about Haman, the power system, so far in this part? Because honestly, for me, I'm not too big on it.
Me neither. Like, I get it and it makes sense, but at the same time, like, it feels like there's either something missing in the explanation of how it is used and such, or it's just it feels too like convenient. Too made up in a sense. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, too convenient. There you go.
Yeah. What about you, Cole? What do you think about Haman in part 1?
I mean, I really liked it when they first introduced it, because like the names for these moves were so fucking crazy.
And the frog.
Yeah, and the frog too. I was like, whoa. How the hell? How do you do that?
I want to do that.
No,
I want to punch frogs.
Yeah, but then it was much more extravagant.
And then like it's just all breathing.
It's
you
just
gotta
all
train
breathing.
your breathing.
Train your breathing.
Yeah.
You gotta breathe harder. Breathe harder, Jonathan.
Just breathe, bro.
Just
Breathe harder, bro.
Let's see what happens next. Oh yeah, then the gang say their goodbyes to Zeppeli, and Zeppeli is now dead. I've seen Zeppeli die again like 5 fucking times, but every time I'm just like, oh man, that's unfortunate.
It is quite sad.
It was honestly kind of crazy to think about. Like, we met Zeppeli, what, episode 3 or 4? Yeah, episode 4, and he died on episode 7. He was not here long.
No, not at all. It felt like a while though.
It did.
Such an impact though.
Yes, he did. And then this is probably my least favorite part of part 1, is like later Dio has like a mother kill her son by turning her into a zombie. I'm just like, I feel like that's kind of in bad taste. That's a little too much in my opinion.
That is bad taste. Yeah, I was like, it wasn't even a situation of, oh, this is unpleasant, like watching a film, but it was just very, very unpleasant overall.
Yeah, I agree. Like, every time I get to that part, I'm just like, nah, I don't fuck with this.
Yeah, like this is legitimately like, this is not good.
I agree.
But I mean, hey, that's the point of it, is to incite those emotions. So
that's true. Proves that Dio's a piece of shit through and through.
Exactly.
So then the Joestars go through Poco's town at Midnight Lot, and it's revealed that the entire town is full of zombies. And then they meet the other Haman users, Dyer, Straits, and Tom Petty, and they get ready to fight Dio. And then it's revealed that Dio has Poco's sister as a hostage. Oh no.
Damsel in distress.
Of course.
Again.
That's the 80s. And then episode 8, Dio asks Poco's sister if she wants to live forever as a vampire, but she refuses, and she gets attacked by one of the vampire monsters, but the Joestars show up in time to kill it. and then they head to Dio's lair. And then before Dio and JoJo can fight each other, Dyer steps in and uses his invincible and unavoidable Thunder Cross split attack, but Dio freezes him and immediately kills Dyer. What a great character. Like we
So much for that.
I know, right? I hate that in anime whenever they sort of like hype up somebody but then they immediately get killed. Because like Dragon Ball Z will do that a lot. Like a character, they'll hype up a character and be like, oh shit, he's gonna do this amazing thing that's gonna kill this guy. Like a lot of times there'll be characters who like sacrifice themselves to kill the villain and then they'll die, but then the villain comes back and regenerates himself. And just like, okay, what the fuck was the point? Like that was a waste of time.
Yep.
And then again, that happens here. Like Dyer tries to fight Dio, but then literally does nothing, just dies. But actually though, before he dies, somehow, with just his head, he fucking shoots a rose into Dio's eye. Then he dies.
I thought that was impressive. That was like the biggest fuck you.
Yeah, very much, yes. And then we get JoJo versus Dio, and the rest of the zombies fight all the other guys. And then Jonathan eventually beats Dio, but unfortunately, right before Dio dies, he unlocks a new power, and now he's able to shoot fucking lasers out of his eyes. So this dude's got super strength, immortality, regeneration, he can freeze shit, and now he can shoot lasers out of his eyes. My boy Dio broken.
He's doing too much.
My boy Dio broken.
He's doing too much.
Please
It's
nerf.
way too much. It's like when you're like a kid in kindergarten and you're like playing with like superpowers and you just kept adding on and on and on. That's what it felt like.
I can do this and I can do this and I can do this. Like,
You can't kill me because I can turn back time. Yeah.
yeah, Dio's that one kid in the playground. He really is.
No one wanted to play with him afterward.
Duh. And then in the final episode of JoJo Part 1, Episode 9, Dio, apparently, it starts with Dio surviving by severing his own head, and then Wang Chan retrieves it. So yeah, surprise, surprise, Dio's still alive. And now, 1 year later...
again.
Yeah. And now 1 year later, it's 1889, Speedwagon destroys the Stone Mask. So no more vampires, yay! Let's fuck them. And then probably one of the cool things about JoJo, what they always do is for the finale of every episode, they add sound effects to the opening. Kai, how'd you feel about that when you like heard that? I don't know if you listened to the opening again in the 9th episode.
I actually did not. I can't lie. Because usually what I do is I'll watch the intro once or twice, or the opening once or twice, and then I just skip it to save time.
That's totally fine. I typically do that, and 9 times out of 10, I always do that. But I heard that like, oh, hey, they added something special to the opening, and that's what they do is like for the finale of every episode, they'll add like sound effects to it. So from now on, that's something I would have you want to do. Like, it's okay for you to skip all the other openings, but like definitely the finale, make sure you check the opening for that because they always add something special to it.
Yeah, that's what I like about JoJo's. They do that for like every part.
Yeah, that's interesting because I haven't really seen that in other animes.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Good to know.
And then later, JoJo and Erina get married and head to America for their honeymoon. And then the thing that I'm thinking about is, where the fuck is Speedwagon's girl, huh? Where's his puss?
He's just there.
He's too busy.
It's okay.
He doesn't need a girl.
You're right.
He's
He's
just
too
hanging.
good. He's too good. And then some men bring a coffin on board the ship, and then one of the men hears a strange noise coming from it. Sounds very reminiscent. Oh, I wonder who it could be. Oh, hopefully it's not fucking Dio and just severed head. That would suck. So then on the cruise...
And then we get rocked.
Yeah, then we get rocked. And then on the cruise, JoJo sees fucking Wang Chung as a vampire on the boat and realizes, oh shit, Dio's still alive. Which actually, that reminds me, I totally forgot about this. But another thing too that's different in the manga is that JoJo actually fights Wang Chan during his Hamon training in the manga. Yeah, but we don't see that in the anime. And like, it's a very just sort of brief exchange. Wang Chan sort of like pulls out these long ass knives. He's like, I'm gonna fuck you up, JoJo, but clearly, obviously, he didn't. That didn't work out.
Yep.
But yeah, that was like a very interesting thing when I read the manga. I was like, oh shit, they fought? Oh, okay. But yeah, pretty cool. And then JoJo reunites with headless Dio, and then Dio admires JoJo and considers him his equal, and he wants to take his body for himself to continue his plan to rule the world. Dio shoots his lasers at JoJo, preventing him from using Hamon. All the passengers on board turn into zombies, and JoJo tells Erina to run away and take the dead woman's baby with her. And then JoJo uses the last of his Hamon to kill Wang Chun and makes him blow up the boat and catch fire. And then sadness, sadness, sadness. JoJo then grabs Dio and holds him in his arms. Even though JoJo hates Dio for everything he's done, he still thinks of him as his brother. And then on February 7th, 1889, Jonathan Joestar passes away. And the boat blows up.
Tears.
Kai, how'd you feel about that when you saw that? That the main
that was pretty sad, and it was also it was upsetting to me because he did all this to you. He did all this to you. Why? But at the same time, I get it. Like, he grew up with him and definitely viewed him more favorably than Dio viewed JoJo. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I think it was a fitting end though. Kind of sad and a bit ironic that we killed this man twice and he still survived. But, you know, things happen. But no, yeah, like it's really coming together for me. And I'm really excited to check out part 2.
Hell yeah, definitely.
And then you should be.
Yeah, and actually, here, let me say the rest of this episode, then we'll talk about that a little bit. So then, in the middle of the ocean, Erina is floating in the coffin carrying the baby, and then the part ends, but actually not, because we get a teaser of part 2 showing a statue of a man, and then part 1 ends. So yeah, that was all part 1. It's very short, just only 9 episodes. This is the shortest part of JoJo. Kai, how'd you think about JoJo part 1 as a whole?
In the beginning, I was a bit, not necessarily confused, but it seemed like all the pieces were just out of reach. But then slowly throughout, as it progressed, it all came back together in my head. So yeah, I'm really pleased with it. Especially, I do want to say it went a little fast, but given the premise of this series, it makes sense. You know, it takes place over the different generations, so I get that. But yeah, no, I am actually pleasantly surprised. I thought the animation would be a little too different and like rugged for me, but with the type of anime that it is and how the characters are developed, it makes sense. And I think it not only makes sense, but the animation further enhances that. So
definitely,
yeah, very solid.
What about you, Cole? What do you think about part 1 as a whole after seeing it? How many times have you seen part 1?
Like 2 times.
Okay. So what do you think about?
But I also read like the manga, so I don't know if that counts.
That's that.
But I feel like it's really like what Kai said. It's very rugged. And after like seeing all the other parts, I can definitely see that it was like definitely rough around the edges, but it's still really good.
Yeah, it's still decent. It's still not bad.
Still very good. My favorite part is still part 2, though.
Oh yes.
Even after like seeing everything else, but I enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed it when I watched it with you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, part 1, it definitely isn't the best part, but again, it's like the very first part. It's setting the groundwork for everything to come later, and so I can appreciate it for that. I do, after seeing it so many times, I still do enjoy it. Definitely as like, you know, the beginning to this great adventure with all these other characters and stuff like that we'll eventually see. Jonathan's fun, but he's definitely, you know, a very stereotypical good guy protagonist, which is fine. And I feel like what carries part 1 100% is Dio. I feel like if Dio was more standard like Jonathan was, it wouldn't be nearly as interesting. Like, do you guys agree with that? Do you think Dio's probably the best part of part 1 in your opinion?
I think so.
Yeah,
as much as I dislike him.
Villain.
Yeah, definitely. Like, he's just such a charismatic, over-the-top villain that, like, he sort of makes the part even better than it already is, in my opinion. But yeah, part 1, pretty solid. And so, yeah, that's pretty much it. And we'll eventually watch part 2. And I'm very excited to hear what Kai has to say about that, because me and Cole can agree that, and a lot of other JoJo fans, that part 2 is infinitely better than part 1 by a landslide.
Okay, awesome. I'm excited then, because this, like I said, pleasantly surprising, so should be fun.
It's my favorite part. Let's go.
It's not my favorite part, but I definitely do still really, really like it. I feel like for me, my favorite part is probably part 5. But my favorite character is from part 4, the main protagonist. But we'll talk about all of that later when we eventually get to those and stuff like that. But yeah, thank you guys very much for watching, and stay tuned next time, because next episode we'll talk about Isekai anime, just a general broad topic about Isekai anime and all that shit that has to do with that. And so yeah, thank you guys very much for watching. Let us know your thoughts on JoJo Part 1, if you've seen it before, or if maybe like you listening to us has inspired you to want to check it out, and just talk to us. And also something that I want to mention, speaking of in the comments, I gotta shout out our boy. Fucking
Yes.
Tez Chamberlain. I hope I said your name right. If not, let me know. You are awesome. Thank you so much for staying tuned to our episodes, and the fact that like I see your comments and like you're so excited that we upload. That's fucking great. And like honestly, whenever I see shit like that, it sort of inspires me to want to like keep going at it, you know what I mean? Like knowing that somebody, even if it's only just one person, knowing that somebody likes your work, you know what I mean?
Someone actually gives a fuck about us.
Yeah.
And our opinions.
Right. And it's honestly even a better feeling when it's like not even someone you know, just like a complete stranger. Because I feel like it's more genuine if it's someone you don't know who says like, oh, this is great, you know, versus your friend where it's like, you know, there might be a chance that they're just saying that just to say that.
There's bias, yeah.
So yeah, it's really fucking cool. Love you, Tez. I'm so glad that
We love you, Tez.
you're liking our shit. And yeah, you can listen to us on Spotify and all the other audio stuff. You can get the podcast early that way. If you want to see more of me and Cole, we have a Let's Play channel called Videoverse with 2 of our other friends. And then also I have another podcast with my buddy Gavin called Overleveled Games, where we talk about JRPGs and other video game news. Links in the description for all that shit. Links below in the description. So yeah, thank you guys very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.
Bye-bye.